Hi, my name is Jenny Gregoire. I'm a violin teacher and concert master. A concert master is a leading violinist in an orchestra. A typical day for a violin teacher and a concert master or orchestra musician, of course, has the teaching part, but the part that's probably the most demanding is when I have to go to rehearsals. Now, some people can make a living just working for one symphony, and that would be maybe having 3 or 4 days of rehearsals and then 2 performances, and that's on a weekly basis. But for me, in order to make a living, I had to piece together teaching and playing for 2 or 3 orchestras. And that means I also have to travel between the different symphonies, which would be located in different towns or states. So what I would do on a typical day is go to work, to my violin studio, meet with my students. I have some elementary school, middle school students, and then university students as well, since I just started working at a college. But then I have also to practice for my rehearsals, which, I get the music typically a few weeks in advance, and then I have to prepare on my own. And then when it's a rehearsal day, I travel to where I'm going. So by example, I play with the Mobile Symphony, which is 3.5 hours from my home. So I have to plan for that time, then get to rehearsal. Then all my colleagues and I work with the conductor. And that's a 2.5 hour rehearsal. Then we drive back home, and then we get back together for the weekend. So 2 rehearsals on a Friday, Saturday dress rehearsal concert, another concert Sunday, and that wraps up a week. So if I do about 8 to 10 concerts with one symphony, that's not enough to, for a living. So then I play with another symphony, and I have to work out the schedule, which symphony can I do on which weekend, and then keep track of all my traveling and keep track of all the different pieces I'm supposed to learn. So the job I do is not a typical 8 to 5 schedule. Some days I might work 4 hours, some days it might be 10 to 12 hours, depending on what's happening that week, if I have orchestra rehearsals and performances. So that can be sometimes stressful if it's a busy week where I have to make sure I meet with all my students, but then also be ready to go to rehearsals. And if you have a family, you have to think about childcare, because a lot of the work happens at night. Rehearsals happen at night. My own practicing will happen at night. Performances happen at night, so that complicates things. If you're interested in having a career with the violin, I would hope that you're already playing the instrument, because very few people start in high school and can learn quickly enough and practice enough hours to be successful with the instrument. But if you're interested in teaching in public schools, by example, I would suggest to get a bachelor degree in music education, and this will not keep you from getting maybe a master's degree in violin performance. But if you want to be an orchestra musician, I would suggest that you find a youth symphony where you can already get experience as a high school student, and then look for a program that offers a bachelor's degree in violin performance. This would allow you to study chamber music and orchestra and all the solo repertoire, and then after that, most likely you will go on and get a master's degree in violin performance. And we also have to do things in the summer, like attend music festivals where you can do orchestra, chamber music, keep studying the techniques for the violin, and also any other symphony in your area, community orchestra, where you can gain more experience. The best part of my job is to perform works by composers that are just beautiful and so rich in emotions, and that's probably the part that makes me the most fulfilled when I'm performing, is be able to have the technique to play all these great, difficult work, and also to share that with other people, and also to put my emotions in the music and send them through the instrument to the audience. And also as a teacher, the best part of my job is to affect somebody's life. It could be I'm helping someone get better at an instrument, and I'm also helping them channel their energy and emotions from music. And I think for a lot of my students, this has been a very positive aspect of their life, is to have an instrument or a skill that makes them feel good about themselves, and that also they can share that with other people. In orchestra, they just play for the families. It could be playing at church, and I think that's very great for me to see that, and also how I'm helping them discover what they want to do as their professional career. Now, the worst part of my job as the orchestra musician, the demanding schedule is pretty challenging, because I have to plan travel, and that can be really exhausting, and that means I might be gone 2 or 3 weekends out of each month to perform. Also, since all my work is at night, that means I don't get to have a normal social life, or I have to make compromises and not spend as much time with my family. For the teaching part, what is difficult and frustrating at times is when I have a student that has the abilities and capabilities but does not practice hard enough or doesn't try hard enough. And that's very frustrating, because I'm supposed to get them ready for the next step, but they're not willing to do the work that's needed. There are a few things that I would like to advise you if you decide to prepare for a career in violin. First of all would be maybe to take music theory classes while you're still in high school, because it really helps understanding the music, and that would help you in college, so you wouldn't have to catch up. You might have to find a private teacher for that, or maybe your music teacher at school could do that, or there might be an AP course in music theory. Sometimes playing piano as well might help, because you have to do music theory up to a certain level when you learn piano. Another thing would look for summer camp. It could be from 2 weeks to 5 weeks, 6 weeks, depending where you decide to go, because this would give you a sense of how it feels to be in music full time. Then you would be surrounded by musicians, you would be doing music all day long, and this might help you decide if this is what is really correct for you. And that's something that can be done also when you're in college. You can attend summer festivals. The other part is to practice as much as one can. Now, I think the work of the musician never ends. You always have to be practicing or studying music or going to rehearsals or teaching. So that's one thing you have to be ready, is it never stops. But it's the great joy of it. If you really like it, that means you're doing your favorite thing all day long, which I think is why I feel so happy with the violin. The other part of the work never ending is you cannot stop for a week or 2 weeks. I think it's just like an athlete. If you don't work out for 2 weeks, you'll be really sore and you will regret those 2 weeks that you took off. And that's the same thing for me. If I, for some reasons, I'm traveling, cannot touch my violin for 3 or 4 days, it would feel rusty even just after 3 or 4 days. So that's one thing. It's better to practice a little bit every day, and do it consistently, than not practice for 6 days and cram it all in one day, because that's not going to work. Our body cannot retain that. We have to think of our hands as muscles, even if it's small muscles, just like athletes. So those would be my most useful advice.